Right, so I'm thinking lighten the load a little bit here. So probably these little bits and pieces to come off. I'll try and get this off first while it's still kind of supported in some way. This bottom of this dropping thing. If it doesn't want to come off, I'll do it later. But I think the 4 bolts underneath to get rid of these clamps, and then we'll get these springs off. That'll lighten the load on this, and it won't take up so much room then. Before I do, let's make a note of which is which here. I'm sure, I mean, it's actually easy to tell, but I'm just going to write on which side is which. So that's the front of the car, so this must be the right side. And although just out of camera, I know it's exciting and you're missing it, but I'm going to write a big L on the other spring because I just can. Right, so get a pair of rubber gloves on. I'm just going to undo these, try and undo these nuts here, see what happens. Right, let's see how we get on with this. This nut is pretty nailed up, I don't know why. Come on. It's got a firm grip of that. Let's see if it budges. Actually, that'll be a resounding no. Does this back in? That's on board, isn't it? That's not going anywhere. He thinks we might have to cut these bolts here. Let's give it a couple more tries. I'll try and shock it round. I'll show you what I mean. So the idea is that I cut a little notch in this nut with the chisel, and then try and use a hammer to drive it round to actually spin the bolt. Don't know how successful that's going to be. If not, I'll just cut the damn thing off. I don't want to knacker the bracket, but we'll give it a few sharp, persuasive blows. Let's see what happens. No, it is just cutting the edge off the bolt. Right, I'll take a grinder to it. Yes. Not bad. Obviously, another good thing about this is that it's now mobile on this trolley. As long as we're careful, and I am going to have a way of steadying this once I've finished rotating stuff. Yeah, you can just twist it around. I mean, I'm not going to be doing the soapbox challenge, for Red Bull on it, but it turns the diff round anyway. So let's just whiz it round. And we'll see if we can't undo these check strap mounts. Right, let's see if we can get a socket on this. So, cast your votes now. Am I going to be successful? Yeah. I've had to bang the bloody socket onto it, so it doesn't bode well. What do we think? No! Hey, it's coming out. There we go. Sort of. Oh no, it's coming out. I assume that this washer malarkey just levers off or something, I would guess. Right, okay, so next job is to take off these plates and U-bolts, and that means we can get the springs off. Right, so it should be just 4 bolts under, is it 4 bolts? Let's have a look. Certainly 4 bolts at least anyway. And yeah, hopefully they'll come out relatively easily. We'll see. Now, the reason I left those nuts on is that when I give this a wallop, I don't want most of it ending up on the floor. So, let's see how we get on here. There we go. That's removed. And here we are. Let's have a look. Down you go. Jesus, that's actually quite weighty. So be careful with that one. Yeah, alright, let's put this on the floor. Right, so that's that lot undone. Might as well take the rest of this off the axle as well. I don't know how much of this is actually included in my rebuild kit, so but it's all, I mean, it looks rusty, but it's not full of holes or anything, it's just surface rust. It would all clean up nicely, so I'm being quite ginger with this. I know these bolts are in the kit. That goes there, noting which way everything goes around. U-bolts. I think that taps off, does it? It does. That comes off, and then the rest of that stays on. Right, so I'm just going to put this back together temporarily so that it all stays in one piece, so I know how it goes back. And I'll bring you back for very swiftly the other side. So obviously one of the first things I'm going to need to do to this is get all the muck off. There you go, you can see it's caked in it. It's actually not all mud though. A lot of this is, I mean all this is like rusted muck, but on the back of these brake packs or brake plates, back plates, whatever, it's actually under sealer somebody sprayed on, and it's all horrible and gunky as under sealer is, but it's actually protected it quite well. I mean, I've had a quick go here, you can see. It's going to be alright underneath. This is going to look excellent when it's done, by the way. It's not going to look like this, obviously. It'll come up really well, but you'll see that as we do it, or as I do it. But yeah, this stuff, this sealer's got to come off now. Now, you can heat it and scrape it and do all sorts of stuff, but one of the things I find is really good for getting it off is one of these. It's a needle scaler. Oops, sorry about the noise. It's an air-driven needle scaler. And what it's really for is for what it's meant to be for, is for taking off, you know, rust off things like this, and it does really well. And people say, well, it'll poke holes in your panels when you use it under the car. Well, yeah, it will do if the panel's dead weak and needs a hole poking in it anyway. So, you know, it's doing you a favour. But what else it does? It means I don't have to heat this up and spend ages scraping around all these corners and whatever. You go anywhere near this with a spinning disc, and the spinning disc, obviously it's going to create friction. It's going to heat it up to buggery, and it'll just, it'll reflow it. So rather than being kind of half crumbly, okay, still a bit gooey, but half crumbly like this, it'll reflow it and stick it to the bloody thing, to the back of this or whatever it is you're trying to take it off. Whereas this just pokes it off. And it might generate a bit of heat, but it's poked it off before it's had a chance to do anything anyway. Now everything's got to come off this, all the pipes, all of the hoses, brake hoses, and I'll talk about this in a second, this brake line. And a lot is being replaced anyway, so if it does a bit of damage to some, you know, bleed nipples or whatever, not bothered, they're getting replaced anyway, so that's not a problem. Yeah, while I'm on the subject of talking about brakes, have a look at this. So, you know, when you go and buy a classic car, okay, and you think, God, that's a shiny car, it starts really well, you know, it's 50 years old, but it's wonderful, what a survivor, God forbid, survivor. That's it, I'm just going to drive it home. Yeah, we'll have a close look at this. If you can see if I can get that to focus. Look how bad that brake line is. Seriously, it may well not be leaking. I mean, it's not going to leak now because there's probably no fluid in it, but it may well not leak now. But you know that second on the M1 when some moron pulls out in front of you, and you know they will, and you slam on, and all of a sudden you subject this 50-year-old, well, actually looks like a steel pipe if I'm honest, it doesn't look like a copper pipe. You subject this old pipe that's all pitted to whatever it is PSI for the first time in 30-40 years, it's going to pop, okay? And then half an hour later, I mean the brakes may well work, but half an hour later, yeah, all your fluid's gone and you lose the brakes on the second application. So just be aware when you buy one of these old cars. I mean, for me all this is going to be replaced obviously, but just have a think, you know, look at that. Would you trust that with your family? Seriously, look at the state of it. And there was no suggestion I was ever going to, but just have a look at your car, get your car checked. You know, these people that have cars and don't get them MOT'd because, oh, we don't need MOTs anymore. Yeah, you know, just think on. It's okay having an engine that runs really well, but at some stage you've got to stop this ton of metal. And it might well be going into some other poor bugger, you know. Right, that's it, lecture over. I'll put you on the stand and I'll do a bit of filming of this stuff coming off. I'll show you what I mean with the needle scale. There you go. Now isn't that easier than heating it up and scraping it off with a scraper? I mean obviously it's going to need a lot of work doing still, but look at that, it's all off. Marvellous. So I'll see if I can put you in the best position just to see me getting the stuff off this back plate now. Alright, now hopefully you can see a bit of an improvement here, and at least now I can get at these bolts and possibly think about dismantling it. Obviously the rest of it's going to get the same sort of treatment. The other end, there you go, is just as crusty and all caked up. But those brake packs have got to come off separately anyway, after the hub comes off, to refurb them separately, as I say. So they're going to get their own separate little needle scaling and sorting out. The idea of this part, doing this now, is just basically to, you know, show these bolts up and enable me to get all the rest of the crappy bits off this thing, and then we can take the needle scaler to the rest of it then when we're actually restoring the surface of the thing. Right, so those, I mean, they look terrible, those bolts, don't they? They're just so, well, knackered by the looks of them. We'll find some way of getting them off, even if we have to cut them. I mean, I'm sure a new set of bolts for that aren't going to be expensive. Even if they are, they still need doing. Right, so I'll move on to this end, and I'll just high speed you for this one, because I think once you've seen this, you've seen it, haven't you? And it's just, you know, knocking muck off. There's only so much wonder and excitement I can unleash on the internet for one day. So, right, time lapse it, and I'll get this battered off. Obviously all of that's going to generate a whole load of crap which goes all over the floor. And actually this end seemed to be more covered in, I don't know if you noticed, this was covered in more dusty mud, dried mud, than sealer by the looks of it. The other end seemed much more gooey. There's definitely more dust come off this end. Yeah, but it's everywhere. So one thing about this undersealy stuff, to show you this pile on the other side, you know, all these bits on the floor, is that if you stand on it and compress it, it will start to go mushy again. It'll stick to your shoes, and you end up walking it in. Well, walking it in somewhere anyway. So yeah, I'll just get all this brushed up and hoovered up, and then we'll possibly have a look at getting these hubs off. Wish me luck. Now, as I'm not planning on replacing the bearings in this, because I can't see why they would be particularly worn after what, 48,000 miles or whatever this has done. As I'm not replacing the bearings, I pretty much want to put this nut back where I got it from. It saves me thinking about, is it preload, is it, or whatever, for the bearing. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mark off where the shaft is in relation to one of these castellated parts here, one of the flats, and I'll just do that with a little centre punch. Okay, I think someone's actually already done it. There's a little mark there, but anyway, I'm going to put a couple in this so I can see where the nut goes. There you go, a couple little marks there, and I'll just put that mark here. Okay, you can see that, 2 marks in that one mark in that one, and now you can see where this pin is as well. And what I'm going to do, because I've never done this before, so we can see where the pin was as well, so we can see which hole the thing went through. Okay, that lines up with the one with 3, and the 2 is shows this goes through the gap. Right, so split pin out first. There we go, success. There we go. Oh. Deep joint. And before that goes walkabout, I'm going to stick that in a bag as well. Okay, so now 4 9/16 bolts, and obviously the nut at the back here to take off the brake pack. This makes this an awful lot easier, this wrench thing. these and bag these. 1, 2. Whenever I dismantle anything like this, by the way, it's always I always try and take note of, are these bolts different in any way? So you can't see. Are these bolts different in any way? And you know, are they all the same length? Are they all the same thread? Is the shank any different? But no, these are all the same size anyway. So those 4 off. I'll just make those with the nuts at the back, and then we'll take the brake pack off. Interestingly enough, and really not very surprising, is that all of this stinks of diff oil, and you can smell diff oil. It doesn't smell like any other oil. It's horrible. So I'm just going to, actually, I was going to disconnect it, but I might as well just clip this brake line at the back. It's actually kinked as well, so this brake would never have worked properly anyway. Right, so there you go. That'll work. That should just come off now. There we go. Right, 1 complete brake pack, which we can refurb quite separately. Now eventually I'm going to be taking this off as well, so I can replace this oil seal here, which, as I say, as the whole damn thing stinks of diff oil, and obviously this is leaking a little bit. Not massively actually, but yeah, it's obviously on the way to stinking it through. So for now I'm going to leave it there while I clean the rest of this, and I'll keep a look out of the inside of the axle tube. Okay, so same deal on the other end. You can see this has had a bit of love in its life as well. I don't know if these are new, but certainly these brake linings have had no wear whatsoever. All being replaced anyway, because they may well be contaminated, and you know, we'll do both sides at the same time and all the rest of it. But actually, all this doesn't look too bad at all. We'll take some detailed photos of all this later, just to make sure we put it all back in exactly the same way. But this is the left hand side anyway, so I'll just whiz you through on high speed for this one. Well, that's those off. So, yeah, that's a bit more accessible for everything now, for getting the rest of this crap off the diff. What I'm going to do, these actually come off quite easily. These end covers for the bearing with the sealing, they actually come off quite easy. In fact, this one was actually stuck to the back of the back plate there. Sorry, that was a bit quick on me. There you go. It was stuck to the back of that back plate, and I didn't even notice it came off that easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tape on here, or cable tie or something, to keep that nice and tight, because I want to keep this pretty well sealed. I don't want the crap that comes off here, all the out flaky bits of rust and whatever else dislodges. I don't want that going into the bearing in here, because as far as I can see, it's nice, it's really good. Yeah, and also as well, while I'm chipping all this bits off, I want this protected as well. So I'll just put some duct tape over it, and possibly a plastic bag or whatever. I don't know, I'll figure it out. But as I say, it's going to keep the crap out of the inside of this the axle tube. Right, onwards. Right, now I'm going to remove the brake line from the back. Let's have a really close look at this. Get it to focus. There you go. Look how bad that is. I think this is a steel brake line. I didn't know they had steel brake lines. But anyway, you can see I'm going along this very, very slowly, so I can see roughly what the shapes are. I'm not going to bin this line, obviously, because I need to replicate it with the brake line kit that I've got. What I've done, I've marked this one with where the brackets are, and I'm going very slowly so I can see, I can refer back to this film to see where the brake line actually routes to. Loads of photos and everything else. It's the only way to do it. Right, I'll get this thing undone. There we go. So now we can see, I'm going to leave it exactly like that, so we can see the shape that we need to replicate with the new hose or the new pipe. Right, this is the last thing to come off for now, and it's the strap which holds on the rear brake cable. I'm guessing this is like a strap off an old gas mask bag. It probably will be when it's restored anyway. Right, I'll just get this thing off. There you go, and there it was, done. And just keep it together with its nuts and or bolts or whatever they are. Bolts. And these will obviously be replaced by new ones anyway to look nice. But yeah, so it needs to go in its own bag as well. Okay, another advantage of having this thing mobile on our little trolley here is that we can put it outside to do this little bit of grinding to get all the rust off. It's obviously a lot easier to do it this way than just have rusty flakes all over the garage. Change of weaponry for this one. We're going to use one of these really tight knotted wire wheel thingies on a grinder. If that doesn't work, I'll get the needle scaler on it, but let's try this first. Now another reason I mounted the diff like this on these axle stands is so I'm not trying to do this upside down, which is one of the reasons I didn't want to do it on the car. I've already undone this nut, so if I just undo that, then it's away from these brackets, so I should in theory be able to get this to a more manageable angle. Let's say there. Oh, there you go. Let's just put it there. Right, onwards. Now all of this stuff under here, this has had either an oil leak coming this way from the engine or a bit of oil leaking out of the diff, and it's kept the undersealer quite moist and active, if you like, activated, so it's properly stuck here. There's absolutely no point going at this with a wire wheel because it just turns to goo. There's no point going at it with the needle scaler because it's just going to basically just mush it around really like kneading dough. So it's back to the old scraper and cloth and a bit of cleaning gunge, I suppose. Right, let's get this off. So that's round one of cleaning up this diff, and I mean already it looks a whole lot better. Look at it, you know, obviously. Compare this to earlier on, miles better, but still a long way to go with it yet. Long way to go. One thing which is a real boom with this is this power brake cleaner Motip. I mean, it's probably not the best brand in the world, but it is what it is. Got a load of them cheap at a car show. It's always worth picking up a load of stuff, because I think if you buy one tin of something, you just kind of want to give it a few squirts. You think, oh, I better save a little bit, or I don't want to use too much of it. When you actually do need to just whack it on, you know, get on with it and spray it. And yeah, this tin has to be really good. It's obviously going to be good for this when I actually paint the thing. It's going to clean up a lot of the crap. Anyway, I think I'm going to call it a day for there. I think I could do go and get in the shower and possibly a pint of cider or something. I'm a bit thirsty. It's something I'm a bit concerned about though. These welds here, they don't look like the best welds in the world on this axle tube. I need to go and look on the MG websites to see if they all look like this. I think what I may do is just clean it up good style and just run a bead around there myself. Make sure it's all solid. I don't know if it's been shortened from a wider one or what's been done here. It might be normal, I don't know. I'm not used to looking at MG diffs and axle tubes. Right. Yeah, that's it. We'll leave this here. Bye.